Adam, when you get a demand letter from an employee or a previous employee, what are the things you should be thinking about and how do you typically respond?
Yeah, I mean, this is my everyday. So first is to evaluate what is the temperature of the client. What is their reaction? A lot of businesses are enraged by receiving something that's unexpected, like a demand letter, potentially a lawsuit, and act in response of those normal emotions, which are anger, resentment, etc., and want to do things like explore options of how they can get back at this employee for doing something that maybe the business owner does not believe was proper or was fair or was accurate. One of the most common things that business owners say is, well, can we countersue for this? That's always something that they explore. And the reality is, a bad lawsuit or a bad fact pattern or a loser lawsuit does not equate to an independent counterclaim for you. And that's really hard for business owners to understand because they want some type of retribution or some type of recourse for feeling like they've been wrongfully sued or in wrongful receipt of a demand letter. So when we take that option off the table, then we really dive into, well, what actually happened here and begin to think through the motivations of the employee. What happened? Is there any liability? Of course, I'll always explore that with my clients because I'll be the first to tell them if they've made a mistake or if they have exposure, in which case I may recommend them towards a path of trying to resolve the case early. But let's say the business owner clearly didn't do anything wrong and they want to understand their options after setting aside the option of a countersuit. Really, it's going to be dependent on the finances of the business because most businesses don't have the financial wherewithal to see a case through to victory. Some do, but many do not. So then we begin to carve out a strategy to defend as best we can with the goal of maybe getting the case dismissed or getting the other side to drop the demand letter by writing a response or showing some data to the other side contradicting their position, and with the goal of trying to get the case dismissed or removed as quickly and as inexpensively as possible. So that's one option. Another one is approaching the other side with a monetary sum, even though the business knows it didn't do anything wrong. The monetary sum is an investment in not having to spend more money in the legal process, towards a resolution, even though they know they didn't do anything wrong. So they're paying a sum of money potentially to resolve the case to not have to prove that they didn't do anything wrong.
But you got to be careful in that because all of your other employees are watching this process.
Yeah, of course. So that's definitely a consideration as far as, well, will other employees hear about this? Of course, if you resolve any case, you want to make sure you have a confidential settlement agreement where that's acceptable. In Florida, it is. What I try and do after we go through, let's say, this process and this experience is try to get to the root cause of like what happened here. How did we get to this point? Because there either was a bad hire or there was a disconnect, or let's say there's a bad manager or something in place which was the cause. I try to work with businesses to see if we can avoid this type of thing from happening in the future as well.